Good afternoon, folks. Happy Sunday. Hopefully you're having a blessed Sunday. Everybody's enjoying it, and we got a video for you today. Man, oh man, we definitely do, and there is a rumor that's hitting the mainstream, thank you to Daniel Jeremiah, about the Lions targeting tackle in free agency. We're going to talk about David Montgomery and more. Let's get this thing started right now. Right here, folks. Let's go ahead and get into this bad boy. NFL's insiders' comments show the Lions are considering going a route nobody expected in free agency. Here you go. Free agency is 17 days away, and the Detroit Lions are expected to be active this year. But first, there's an NFL Combine, which brings us to the annual pre-NFL Combine Conference called the NFL Network's draft expert insider, Daniel Jeremiah. Usually, Jeremiah's conference call is good. Learn what the Lions might be leaning towards and in the draft and who they might be keeping an eye on in the Combine. But this year, he gave us little insider information that drastically changes the offseason plan as we know it. Mike Payton from A to Z Sports, check it out. He's got a video, as you can clearly see, my guy right here. That was a Hutchinson video. It says, the Detroit Lions are doing a lot of work on free agent offensive tackles. Wow, so if that's the case, that makes you to believe exactly what Peyton is, that they're expecting Taylor Decker to retire. If the Lions are looking at tackles, that's exactly what they're expecting. Now, do you think that the Lions are going to go spend buku money on a left tackle if he retires? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Why for yes and for no. It's going to save the Lions 11.6. Okay, they can get a tackle in free agency. Now, we're going to go through the tackles here in a minute of what's on the table. Do they go a big, expensive route? Do they go individual that's just passing it down to the 17th pick? Or do they just do player that will compete? Well, here's the tackles on the market right now and what their market value is expected to be. Now, if you're looking for age there, Rasheed Walker, remember when it comes to the tackles as well, we do have Penei Sewell, so we can have an individual that could play the right side as well. So just keep that in mind. It just depends on what their plan is. We don't really know. Cam Robinson, then it kind of falls off a cliff, right? And so if Detroit is really doing their work, there's some individuals that can be a starter, that could just kind of be the hold the fort down intermediary. We don't know what they're doing, but if they're doing a lot of work, they're definitely talk to multiple. I'm going to assume not just probably one or two, probably like 5 or 6. And my guess would be as good as yours to who they would be targeting. Right? Go to the Packers there. Usually this stuff picks up. There we go. Unrestricted free agent, I guess so, right? They could go a route like that. We don't really know, right? They could go a super cheap route. Just don't know. That's the worrisome. I think that's the worrisome for everybody if this happens. Now look, if Taylor Decker retires, they have no choice. They have to do this, man. They can't just go into the draft without even a tackle. You got to get somebody. But I tell you what, free agency will tell you what they're going to do in the draft. Free agency will tell you what they're going to do in the draft. If the Lions spend big at tackle, they spend big money, then that does change the 17th pick. If they do, we're going to look at the contract. If Decker retires, we will look at that contract of that tackle they pick up. That will tell you what is going to happen with that 17th pick. Now, look, if the Lions go buku money, here's a mock draft here by my guy Mike Payton. This would be the ideal, right? If the Lions spend money, he has them then, if the Lions spend money on tackle, securing the offensive line, besides center, he has them trading up with the Cardinals to get David Bailey out of Texas Tech. The Lions get a 3rd round pick, but we have to give up the 17th and the 50th pick. And a 2027 second and a 3rd round pick. So you have elite pass rush. You fix the defensive line in elite pass rush. Okay? But you're opening yourself up to some problems, right? We haven't got center. Maybe they get it in free agency. I don't think they can get both. And then you're really, if you do that, it makes it a little bit sketch for the rest. But man, I tell you what, you fix that defensive line and you put the best pass rusher in the draft where Lions fans would never even think about this. That's why we even talked about it. I think that would make a lot of Lions fans go ape-ass. But you give up that type of draft capital. Give me your thoughts right now. Would you do this trade that Mike Payton puts up here? Why for yes, son for no? Still got to deal with safety. Now, he had, a couple players, obviously the 3rd pick and all that stuff, and then 118th and all the way down. But you're banking on getting a linebacker that contribute, a safety that you're probably going to need a young safety. You're probably going to need a young tight end like they have in here, but you probably pick one up in free agency. That's not that big. If they keep David Montgomery, that's good, but then we got to look at center again, right? Center. Where's the center? Where do they get the center? You give up this draft picks, then you're hoping on getting, here there's not even a center in the draft. We have a problem at that position. So that's the problem there if you do that trade. But look, you're going to hear me complain. We need to get some edge. But as long as they got a plan for tackle, they got a plan for center, I guess so. But I don't think this is the year to trade up. I think this is the year to stand pat or actually trade back. All right. So Lions' $80 million rumor could end, says David Montgomery in Detroit, because here it is. The Lions have signed 9 players. We already know what they did. Gibbs will likely aim to become the highest paid running back in league history, besting the $20 million salary Eagles Saquon Barkley, who signed a 2-year, $40 million extension, back guaranteed, chance additional 15 escalations. Yes, he's going to get paid buku money. Everybody and their mom knows he's going to be the highest paid running back, deservedly so. I don't think that spells the end of David Montgomery in Detroit. If the Lions cut David Montgomery, that just saves them $5 million. Then you need to understand they got to replace David Montgomery with somebody. So you're probably going to give a contract to somebody in free agency that's going to be $1.5 million plus, unless they have a plan in the draft. So if they're to draft a guy, okay, you're saving $5 million. But if that's not the plan, and they're we got to get a replacement anyways. We're going to get Connors from Arizona. We're going to give him $3 million. What do you save $2 million? This is something that we did last year with DJ Reed and Carlton Davis. It didn't work out so well. Yeah, we look like we saved a little bit of money, but boy, the production was much different. So I think that is something that they got to go at. The only way I see the Lions trading David Montgomery is if they have a plan for the draft at a running back, because then you're legitimately saving money, and you can get really good backs, 3rd, 4th round. I've done multiple mock drafts. You've seen them. And by the way, we'll get back to a lot of draft stuff after the main part of free agency. But obviously, with free agency right around the corner, that is the main focus of this channel at this point right now. Dan Campbell and the Lions get good news. Guess what? The betting markets believe in Detroit. Las Vegas believes in Detroit. According to DraftKings, the Detroit Lions are projected with 10.5 wins next year. That's second in the NFC, only to the Rams. Why is that? The Lions have a fourth place schedule. Easy schedule right there, right? So they got an easy schedule. A lot of people do believe the Lions they're going to get some players in free agency in the draft. If Taylor Decker retires, they're going to get a lineman, whether it be a center or potentially a tackle. We do believe they're going to address the other parts in the draft. Get an edge, safety, tight end. And everybody knows that Brad Holmes is pretty darn good when he's focused on getting certain players in the draft. You just look a couple years ago when we got the 4 from the Gibbs draft. So if they can do that again, you put a fourth place schedule on there. You got a offensive-minded coach who likes to run the football. Getting back to that ground and pound, you could see the Lions having a situation where they have the number 2 high-end win rate. Remember, it switches every year. We got the fourth place schedule. Then the teams that were first place, it switches. And if you look at the wins that we've had in the NFC, we beat the Chicago Bears, and so it's just that's how it goes. It's a yearly thing. So it's going to be intriguing to see what the Lions do here, folks, because we got free agency. Could it just be all bluff and rumors? It's possible. But generally speaking, if they're hearing this from an NFL combine, that's probably coming from agents too. And agents are getting numbers, and as you know, when they do free agency, they want to be able to have those deals done quickly. And that's why you see them done quickly. So what's going on right now, if Taylor Decker is retired, and I'm going to assume that's probably it now, because if they are doing the research on tackles, that's probably it. And they got 4 or 5 guys, contracts kind of given an ideal situation where they're at or what they're thinking. And depending on what happens, they pull the trigger on one of these guys, on free agent opening day. So give me your thoughts in the comments. Adios.